guys, it's almost April, and you know what that means? It's that month where the UK government start changing everything, and they have recently just released the statement of changes for immigration rule, and we're going to be looking at it today. There are a lot of changes ongoing. There are lots of rules that have been changed with regards to immigration. Care workers or care sector is heavily affected. Student workers, settlements, getting everything is affected. So stay with me to the very end if you want to find out about the latest immigration changes in the UK. Don't go anywhere. Hi guys, my name is Yeti and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. On this page, I share everything about relocation, migration, either living in the UK or any part of the world. So you want to stick around, you want to like this video, share, and ensure that you keep following Yettysplash for more. On today's episode of Yettysplash, we're looking at the immigration changes, right? The UK government has released statements of changes in immigration rules, and I just want to walk through the documents with all of us so that we are up to date with the relevant immigration changes. I need to put this out there, I'm not an immigration advisor, okay? Whatever I share here is based on my experience, and of course because I'm always on high alert following immigration rules, being a migrant myself. So what are the changes that we are talking about? These documents contain 135 or thereabout pages. They understand that it's going to be difficult for people to either read everything or understand it. So they have released an explanatory memorandum to that statement of immigration change, and that is what I'm going to be looking at today. There are a lot of changes that the UK government have made. At the beginning, you're going to see introduction of a visa requirement to Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to be skipping that. I'm going to be skipping, changes to the Ukraine scheme. If it affects you, I'm just going to put the link in this video and you are able to then read the document later on. But what exactly I'm going to be talking about today is the one that affects my community, African migrants that are in the UK, So the first change I'm going to be talking about is appendix short-term study English language. Now they've added that that you can come into the UK, right, to study on a short term, like maybe you're just coming 6-month course, you can apply for a visa to come and study on a short term. So they are now saying that a genuine intention to study rule has been added to appendix short-term study to the immigration rules. This will enable case workers to refuse applications where they are not satisfied. The applicant on this route has a genuine intention to study the course listed on the application and to leave the UK at the end of their course. So what they are saying is that if you have applied for a short term to study in the UK, now case worker has to be extra careful to know that yes, at the end of your study you would be leaving. But if you're not going to be leaving at the end of your studies, then they have the discretion to reject that application. Do you guys understand? Yes, so what they are trying to say now is that your application must show that at the end of your studies you are definitely leaving the UK. Otherwise, you will not get that visa. Let's move on. There's been changes to the skilled worker route yet again, because they always do change. Changes have been made to the provisions for care workers and senior care workers. These changes have been made in response to the growing pool of workers in the route who no longer have sponsorship because their sponsors have been unable to offer sufficient work and or have lost their sponsor licenses. So the UK government is quite aware that a lot of people are already in the UK and either they've lost their license or they've been sponsored here but they are unable to get shifts because everybody knows what is happening. Like, it's on the news. We know that there are some crook agents out there selling COS to people, bringing them into the UK, and then there are no shifts. So what the UK government is trying to propose with these new changes is that employers must then recruit within the UK before they issue them license to issue from outside the UK. So if you're someone, that they are making it strict for people to come into the UK, right? So if you're an employer and you're looking for someone to employ, you have to employ from within the UK. You have to search thoroughly. People whose license have been revoked, people that don't have shifts where they currently work, you have to offer them employment first before you can then recruit from outside the country. You have to offer people within the UK, which I think is a good thing. They are trying to look out for those that are already here, because look at it, it's not your fault if your sponsor no longer have shifts for you, and it's also not your fault if your employer loses their license and things like that. So it shouldn't be the applicant that will suffer the burns, right? That is why they are bringing these new changes, which I think for the very first time the UK government is actually doing something right. Also, they said these changes require sponsors to try to recruit from this pool of workers who are seeking new employment before seeking to sponsor new recruits from other immigration routes or from overseas. So to enforce this requirement, sponsors must provide confirmation from the relevant regional or sub-regional partnership that they have tried to recruit in this way and confirm that no suitable workers were available from this pool. This is good. That means before any company will be issued license to issue international applicant, you must be Provide evidence that those within the UK, you have tried to recruit them, even people whose licenses have been lost, or people who no longer have shifts where they're currently working. You have tried to recruit them. It is until you're satisfied, the UK government, that you're unable to recruit those within the UK, that they will then now issue you, sponsorship to recruit overseas, which I think is really fantastic. But however, guys, note this. These changes relate only to care jobs, right? Only to care jobs. So if you're on another kind of skilled worker visa, this does not apply to you, right? If you're only on the health and care visa, you're a care worker, then these changes relate only to care jobs, with working locations entirely in England. So only to care jobs and also just carers in England. Applications relating to working locations in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are unaffected. The changes also do not apply to workers in England who were already sponsored in these occupations before the changes take effect, including those changing employers or those switching from other immigration routes who have been working lawfully for their sponsor for the last 3 months. Finally, they said changes are also being made to update the minimum salary floor from £23,200 per year, which is £11.90 per hour, to £25,000 per year, which is £12.82 per hour. So they're saying that before you can sponsor anybody now on the health and care visa, then the salary threshold has increased from what used to be £23,200 to £25,000 per year, which I think is fair, because even the UK government have increased their minimum wage. So it's once minimum wage increases, salary thresholds usually increases. Hence the reason for the increase, right? So it is standard practice to update this and other salary requirements across work visa routes each year using the latest annual survey of hours and earnings data from the Office of National Statistics. That's why I said, because the UK government have increased their minimum wage, so it's only fair that this is also increased as well. Guys, this is also another amazing change that I like. Changes are also being made to the rules concerning deductions from applicants' salary. These changes are being made for consistency with how paid allowance for the same purposes are treated, to mitigate against sponsorship costs being passed on the applicants, and to close an unintended loophole whereby applicants could effectively pay towards their own salary through investing in their sponsor's business. You know what this means? They're trying to curb people from paying for sponsorship, like people from paying from COF. There's some ridiculous deductions that some employers pay, allegedly, that have you're working for them and then they'll be taking out £500 from your salary as your COS fee or something like that. A lot of people go through a lot in this company, especially if you're on sponsorship. So they are trying to ensure that they are monitoring all these salary deductions to be sure that applicants are not being forced to pay for sponsorship, which I think is a very good, idea and a very good development. They also made several updates on the Global Talent Visa, the procedures prices. If you check 5.35, it says that at the request of Art Council England and their sub-endorsing bodies, Pact British Fashion Council and RIBA, the evidential requirements have been amended to include a CV to assist the sub-endorsing bodies in understanding what stage the applicant is at their career to date. So they will also require the letter of support to come from an organization or individual whom the application has worked with in a role using their field of expertise. So they're just updating, the global talent route. That should be sure that those that are actually getting this visa merits it, right? There's changes to Appendix Child Students relating to child student safeguarding as well. They made changes to administrative review as well. So administrative review is a paid application for individuals to raise case working errors to the Home Office. You can just go through that as well to read the changes that have been made. They also made other minor changes, right? Changes to the list of disability related benefits, that is there. Amendment to the list of public funds, that is also there. Then changes to settlement requirements in various work routes. Corrections are being made to definition and settlement requirements relating to the following routes: skilled worker, Tier 2 Minister of Religion, representative of an overseas business, global talent, innovator, founder, international sportsperson. Now, this clarifies that the qualifying period for settlement as a lead applicant in these routes must consist of time spent in the UK as a lead applicant. So this is in relation to people that switch visa from being dependent, and then before you know, They are no longer dependent, they are now lead applicants. So if you're trying to use the 5 years route, it only counts when you are the main applicant. If I'm the main applicant, like on a tier 2 visa, if I have spent 3 years on this visa, then I now became a dependent to another person, even though the person is on a tier 2 visa. It no longer counts for me, right? Because I've now switched to dependent. So it's that lead applicant time that counts. And this point is really important, especially if you're in the UK with your family members. You need to note this point very well so that you guys don't just start switching visas and at the end of the day, you're unable to qualify for indefinite leave to remain. Although, if you're applying for 10 years route, you can use any kind of visa. So be independent, you can switch and swap and all of that. But if you're using the skilled worker route, then they have clarified it here that this clarifies that the qualifying period for settlement as a lead applicant in this route must consist of time spent in the UK as the lead applicant, not as a dependent. I hope that is clear enough. Also guys, they touched on replacing outdated references to physical immigration documents. It is no longer news, guys, that due to the introduction of e-visas, the Home Office is phasing out issuing any physical proof of status, and in 2024 they stopped issuing biometrics resident permit. Therefore, we are replacing references to issuing such physical products in the rules with reference to biometric immigration documents, which can be either physical or digital. So they're also going to change that as well. There are also some changes to temporary work visas and international sport person. And at the end, it states that the government has committed to the consolidation of the rules as part of its response to the Law Commission recommendation on simplifying the immigration rules. So they're just trying their best to simplify immigration rules. Nothing shocking yet from all I've read so far, and hopefully we're not going to have bad news. Like, I'm always praying that migrants don't have bad news, because we're like tenants in this country. Yes, and then we're always just on high alert whenever there's any immigration updates. So that's the news that I have for you guys today, and I'm super excited about the fact that they're looking for solutions for people whose license have been revoked within the UK. I think that is really a good one. So if you like this video, share it, comment, ask questions in the comment section. If you do not understand anything that I've said, I'll be more than happy to clarify for you. Don't forget to like this video, share, keep following Yettysplash for more, and turn on your post notifications so that when I post next, you get to see it. Bye for now, guys.